elderly man, returns to childhood home in search of a secret. Our earliest memories often leave the biggest impact, which is why so many people can picture the houses they grew up in, like it was yesterday. Even senior citizens can recall every nook and cranny of their childhood homes. These spaces still hold a strong connection to their happiest memories, and their darkest ones too. Although he was in his 80s, this Czechman couldn't get his first house out of his mind. Years earlier, his dearly departed father told him about a secret hidden in its walls. While there was no proof that this mystery was real, the octogenarian swore he would stop at nothing to find the truth. Before the video starts, please make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss our videos. At the ripe old age of 83, Rudi Schlattner never expected to return to his childhood home after 70 years. The stately residence caught the attention of many passers-by in Ústí nad Labem, Czech Republic. Naturally, the Schlattners were devastated to leave it, but they had little choice. In the immediate aftermath of World War II, Czechoslovakian leaders resented Germany for taking over their country with brute force. President Edvard Benz retaliated by expelling all ethnic Germans from his country, even those who lived in Czech society their entire lives. So 13-year-old Rudi and his family had no choice but to flee immediately, lest they be forcibly moved by the military. Carrying only a few bags each, they had to leave most of their possessions behind. But Mr. Schlattner had one trick up his sleeve. After a career as a wealthy merchant, Rudi's dad knew a thing or two about storing valuables. He told his son that all their worldly belongings were stowed away somewhere in the large attic of their house. It was a clever move. With the dust settling on an international power struggle, European nations had no qualms about confiscating private property from displaced citizens. With any luck, the Schlattners would be able to return home and reclaim their property. Fate had other plans for the family. They moved into the American-controlled portion of West Germany, where the Berlin Wall totally shut them off from their familiar hometown. Rudi's parents never saw Czechoslovakia again. However, Rudi's desire to rediscover his birthright never wavered. After Soviet Europe opened back up to the world, the octogenarian reached out to Václav Haufek, director of the Ústí Municipal Museum. He wondered what became of his old house. Václav was pleased to report the building was still in fantastic shape. A kindergarten had taken over most of its rooms, though no occupants ever renovated the attic. It basically looked the same as it had in the 1940s. This revelation energized Rudi. Was it really possible that all of the relics of his former life were out there waiting for him? He had to find out. Working in tandem with the Ústí Museum, he returned to the attic. As familiar as the dusty planks were, Rudi couldn't see any hidden stash of family heirlooms. He and the other researchers knocked on the wooden panels with a hammer, but couldn't locate any hollow spots. They were ready to give up. Fortunately, a memory buried deep in Rudi's consciousness came roaring back to him. He recalled his father saying that a small string was the only way to open the compartment. Minutes later, Rudi spied a piece of twine dangling between two boards. He pulled it. After a cloud of musty air puffed out, Rudi stuck his head inside. Amazingly, the Schlattner family's possessions were still there after all those years. Stacks of boxes lay untouched, and Rudi couldn't wait to see what treasures they held. The museum staff, once the shock wore off, loaded up Rudi's find into a truck and brought it back to the archives for inspection. While cutting open the paper around the first box, they prayed that the items inside were still recognizable. They soon found there was no need to worry. The contents of the Schlattner's attic paint a vivid picture of life in 1940s Czechoslovakia. Rudi wiped away tears as he held dolls and toys that were once his childhood favorites. In fact, his dad packed up nearly everything the family owned. Bottles of makeup and medicine, some of them barely used, suggested that he truly expected to get back home shortly after their exile. Then, there was the matter of some real treasure. The haul included many paintings by Josef Stegl, a celebrated Czech artist who lived with the Schlattners for a time. Without the foresight of Rudi's father, these masterpieces may have been lost to mobs of plunderers. Amid this joy, Václav had one bad piece of news for Rudi: none of this belonged to him. The oppressive anti-German policies of President Benz meant that any abandoned items became the property of the Czech state. But Rudi didn't mind. He took pride in his family's past, living on in the Ústí Museum. Displaying these artifacts would be part of an effort across Europe to shine a light on the forgotten stories of World War II.